Hello, hello, hello. We are soon in December, the last month of the year, and there are a few good games releasing this month as well. The problem, like always when you get to the end of the year, is that you have a lot of games that have release date 2024 or just Q4 with no specific date. So I have a few games on the list that doesn't have a specific date yet. I hope they release this year, but they might also get pushed to next year. Other than that, let's take a look at the games. First up is Entropy Survivors, a roguelike survival game with a bit of a silly twist to it, I would say, but it also looks like a lot of fun. In the game you can play a few different characters, they all have their own mech. You have the standard level up while playing, you gain upgrades and abilities. And these abilities are the silly part, I mean they are creative as well. So you've probably already seen in the trailer they show bowling balls, trucks going across the screen. They roll a ball just like in Katamari. You have airdrops with giant crates. It looks a bit out of place, but still it looks silly and fun. The game also supports co-op. From what it looks like, it's only online co-op, but it is there at least, and more people means more synergies, more insane builds, and hopefully it's a beautiful mess. I think the style of the game is great, very vibrant, and even with everything happening on the screen, you can still read what is happening. Yeah, excited to try this one. Release is planned for 4th of December, so that's next week. Developed by Moving Pieces Interactive. Then we have Archons, a really cool roguelite survival game. The interesting thing about this game is that you play two characters at the same time. So you play this like a twin stick shooter, and I would say preferably with a controller. You play one of the characters with one stick and the other character with the other stick. And you have different starting weapons and will be kind of used between the two characters. So you can have like a disc bouncing between the characters, and you're gonna have to line up the enemies between them, or two like giant circles that does area damage within them, and if you get closer they overlap and do more damage. It opens up some interesting strategies and gameplay options, and it's a really cool concept playing two characters at the same time. Never seen this done really before, so definitely a learning curve to this one. The game will support co-op as well, both local and via Steam remote play together, and I mean this will surely make the game a lot easier, but I'm more interested in playing this solo with two characters. Other than that, you have your standard roguelite experience. You level up during a run, gaining power-ups and skills, and you go up against bosses, of course, and you probably have some passive upgrades in the menu as well. Developed by Bullet Hell Studios, release is planned for 6th of December. Next up is Voin, a first-person action-adventure game. In a dark fantasy world, you have been tasked with cleansing the world of a devastating plague. The game has kind of a reaction-based combat that looks fast and fun and bloody. You'll use different melee weapons, dodging and weaving your way through enemies as you slash them to pieces. You of course level up, have skills, equipment and all that good stuff. The game is kind of open world where you can explore freely, and if you put away your weapon you can teleport around quite a lot. There are also several weapon types in the game, and there are surely a ton of loot to find in the world. It looks rather challenging, and with some interesting bosses, I think this could be really fun. It will drop into early access on December 10th and will stay in early access for about a year. Developed by Nikita Sosidar, I hope I pronounced that correct. Then we have The Spirit of the Samurai. I mean, this looks like one of the coolest games this year. You play as the samurai Kodama. You also play as a tiny spirit named Chisei, and also a warrior cat. What makes this game kind of special and cool to me is that they use stop motion. And I can't say I've seen stop motion used in games before, and it certainly gives the game a unique look to it. Like, you can really see the stop motion within the gameplay. The game's overall structure is kind of a Metroidvania, and the combat is kind of combo based. And you can of course customize this with different skills. There's also powerful magic that you can utilize. And they have really created a dark and disturbing world in this game, and the atmosphere is on point as well. The game revolves around your village being attacked by a demon and his army. Developed by Digital Mind Games, release is planned for December 12th. Next up is Bloodshed, a roguelite survival that you play in first person. The game have retro-styled visuals, kind of a boomer shooter but in a roguelite package. I covered this one in my indie games you haven't heard of. I'll link that below the like button. And it isn't often you get first-person roguelite games, so I'm excited to try this one out. You're fighting the undead in this game, and you kind of have those traditional 90s guns. There is also magic roguelike, you have distinct characters with their own abilities and skills. You have permanent character buffs. As you play, you will gain upgrades and new skills in order to perfect your build while you play. I don't think there is too much to the story here, but I'm not really sure. I do think this is a nice blend between boomer shooter and roguelite. Release is planned for December 12th, and that's for the early access. It will stay in early access for about 6 months to a year. Developed by Com8 Com1 Software. Next up is Fountains, an action RPG that looks to be very skill based. I kinda get the feeling that the game is easy to learn but hard to master, with a bit of fishing in between. It also feels like the game is borrowing heavily from the Dark Souls series, with hard bosses, an interconnected world, strange characters and secrets everywhere. There are abilities to find in the game as you uncover the mysteries of the empire you are in. I think this looks really good, fast and fun, and a combat that demands precision. I covered this game earlier this year and was a bit annoyed over how little information there were about this game, and now less than a month away from release, there isn't anything new about the game, which is kind of a bummer. I would like more information about it. As I said, I do think it looks interesting, but it's hard to judge from the super short trailer that they have. Developed by John Pywell, release is planned for December 20th. Next up is a few titles that don't have a release date yet. They are scheduled for 2024, but at this point they might get pushed to 2025, but hopefully we'll see release of them this year. Don't forget to subscribe. I have my indie games of the year coming up soon, and a few other categories and games I want to give a shout out to. Otherwise, I do regular gameplay videos, reviews and lists. First up amongst the games without a specific date is Death Grip, a racing game that have basically imitated pod racing from the Star Wars universe. The visuals are great here, you really get the sense of speed. I played the original pod racing game a ton when I was a kid, but we never really got a sequel for it, and hopefully this one comes close or is even better. It will have 8 unique racers, 10 tracks. It adds an element to the game with combat, and there are different weapons to utilize in combat. You also have time trials with leaderboards, and hopefully the game will have some sort of campaign. Developed by Reclaim Interactive. Next up is Afterblast. This one I have also covered in my upcoming roguelikes you haven't heard of. This one is a fast-paced FPS roguelite that can be played in co-op or by yourself. You play in randomly generated dungeons, and there seems to be a focus on mobility with grappling, double jumps, jump pads. I do like the weapons in the game as well, they look fun and kind of insane. I do get some Doom vibes from this game with the smaller arenas and the fast-paced combat. Then there are of course a ton of items, abilities, shops to buy upgrades from, a fairly standard structure, but I hope the game evolves and has enough variety in the long run. Developed by Lumino Games. Then we have Kingmakers. This is a crazy one. You basically go back in time to the medieval era, you change the course of history and save the world from the apocalypse. As you would, you take some modern equipment with you. The game will supposedly have thousands of soldiers fighting at the same time and will utilize next-gen multi-threaded AI to control their decision-making, pathfinding and loyalty. Kinda cool, I hope it works. You can on the fly switch between third person and command mode to give orders to your troops. The game will have co-op so that you can work together with your friends to battle and take over castles. I really like the idea of using modern weapons and equipment in a medieval setting. It's super interesting and will surely make you feel powerful. I hope there is enough depth to the gameplay and not just a half-baked game to make money off the hype. Developed by Redemption Road. Next up is Skate Story. I'm usually not the guy who plays skating games, but this one is a bit different. You are a demon made out of glass and pain. The devil makes a deal with you. Skate to the moon and swallow it and you'll be free. I just love the art style of this game. It's instantly recognizable and looks so cool. It is visually stunning and looks super smooth. The game has over 70 tricks as you make your way through the underworld. You'll meet interesting characters and kill demons with your tricks. It's kind of interesting as well because you're made out of glass and you'll shatter into pieces if you fall. I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of want to play a skating game. Developed by Sam Eng. Next up is Sworn, an action roguelike. In the game, Camelot has fallen and Arthur and his knights have become corrupted. You now have to become a knight to save the day. I like that the game is based on Arthurian legend and that you have all the characters from the legend, and it's kind of a nice twist that the good are now bad. The cel shaded style is very nice as well, and the game can be played in up to 4-player co-op. In a roguelike fashion, you have tons of upgrades, weapons, abilities to use and combine. Kinda seems like the game is imitating the Hades structure, which isn't a bad idea. But yeah, definitely interested to see if this game has some legs to stand on. Developed by Windwalk Games. These are the games I look forward to in December. Hopefully you found a game or two that you are interested in. Don't forget to subscribe. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.